The South Carolina son was raised in the small town of Central, and he rose to become one of the most influential voices in the United States Senate and in international affairs. Lindsey Graham spent decades shaping South Carolina politics and national politics, but he also never forgot the people who got him there or where he came from. Lindsay Olin Graham was born in the small town of Central, South Carolina on July 9, 1955. He grew up in a blue-collar family, graduated from D.W. Daniel High School, and was the first in his family to go to college. But while he was at the University of South Carolina, he lost both parents within 15 months and was determined to raise his sister Darlene, who was just 13 at the time. Graham never forgot the impact of federal programs on his own family.
If it weren't for Social Security survivor benefits, it'd been hard to make it. My sister got Pell Grants to go to college. What have I learned? That all of us are one car wreck away from needing somebody's help.
In 1981, he earned a degree from USC Law School and served as a JAG officer with the U.S. Air Force, serving active duty for 6 years. Even after being elected to federal office, Graham continued to serve in the Air Force Reserves, retiring after 33 years of service as a colonel, and always promoting a strong national defense. As the 3rd District representative in the U.S. House, Graham took the national stage, serving as one of the prosecutors in the impeachment trial of President Bill Clinton.
God only knows what's in his heart. I'm having to judge Bill Clinton based on evidence.
In 2002, he was elected to the United States Senate, succeeding Strom Thurmond, the longest-serving senator in South Carolina's history. Senator Graham quickly filled those shoes in both constituent services and rising to become an influential voice in the Senate, easily winning 3 re-election bids, and in June of 2026, winning a 5th GOP nomination with 57% of the vote. In 2015, he briefly cast his eye on higher office, proudly announcing a run for the presidency from his hometown of Central.
I'm Lindsey Graham, and I'm running for President of the United States.
But the campaign was short-lived. He withdrew his name before the primary. Graham realized that his power was best placed in serving the people of South Carolina through his many influential committee assignments, including Judiciary, Appropriations, Budget, Armed Services, Veterans Affairs, and Foreign Relations.
I hope that the American people will see through this charade. And I wish you well. And I intend to vote for you.
On the Judiciary Committee, he was a strong voice in the contentious confirmation hearings for Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And in 2020, he chaired the committee when Amy Coney Barrett was confirmed. He was in line to lead the Judiciary Committee once more if he were to be reelected. But above all, the committees and the foreign diplomacy, ahead of being one of President Donald Trump's most trusted advisors, Lindsey Graham was dedicated to the betterment of his home state, always advocating for South Carolina.
I think we need people to know what the hell they're doing and can deliver. Really, isn't that what it's about? Having somebody in Washington that can deliver for you and your family?
In his 71 years, the guy who grew up in the back of a pool hall in Central South Carolina fully lived the American dream and stood on a platform of trying to make that dream a reality for everyone. And we want to express our condolences to Senator Graham's family, his many close friends and staffers. His passing was sudden. It was so sudden that at this time funeral arrangements have not yet been announced, but we will continue to keep you updated as we learn of plans.